Welcome back, everybody. We're here to talk about Season 2 of everybody's favorite slime show. We've been looking forward to this one with great anticipation. You know, I think there was when we were talking about Season 1 of the slime show, I feel like there was this saying I would
something
say
that kept
sometimes.
ringing between your ears
Something
as you
like
were
that.
talking during the show.
That's
remember
right.
that.
That's right. And if like the comfiness vibe is where we're going, that's fine. There's quite a few comfy I could go watch YURU Camp Season 2 when it comes out. I find myself way more excited for Season 2 of YURU Camp. I cannot wait to see those girls get out there and camp their asses off. Now, you know, I'm wearing a zip-down hoodie here. I'm wearing a zip-down hoodie.
It can only ever mean one
There's
thing
only
on the
one thing.
KHANTEHNT channel!
All right, you ready? You ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3.
What the fuck happened here?
Oh, I'm sorry. I guess
How
there's...
could you have messed this up?
There's been some confusion,
so much
everyone.
anticipation, so
Wait.
much hype. But wait.
Wait a minute.
Hold on.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Are you wearing two shirts?
I'd rather be watching YURU Camp. That's the moral of the story here on KHANTEHNT today.
Celebrate how much you'd like to be watching YURU Camp. No disparaging remarks about slime made in the t-shirt. So if you like the slime
separate.
show, then you don't have to worry about Nate's opinions.
YURU Camp KHANTEHNT coming soon, baby.
She's in the KHANTEHNT.
Ah!
Did you think about it?
Let's watch the slime show. But first, an advertisement. Hey kids, want to impress your friends and induce sexual arousal in your neighbors? KHANTEHNT t-shirts!
Wow, I've never been more impressed in my life with anything.
KHANTEHNT now has official t-shirt merchandise, and you can get yourself some by clicking below the video or in the Teespring link in the description. With designs like the classic KHANTEHNT logo.
Or this.
I've got a shirt on too.
Or this. KHANTEHNT!
In these trying times, why not tell the world you'd rather be watching YURU Camp from inside your cozy KHANTEHNT?
They're a great way to support the show and share your KHANTEHNT pride. So get out there, wear them, and get into KHANTEHNT. KHANTEHNT!
ことになってしまった。まあ、少しは俺のせいでもあるかな。
All right, we're back, everybody. Slime Show Season 2. Picking up right where we left off. You know, hey, sure, would I rather be watching YURU Camp? Yes. I've been watching a little bit of Season 2 of YURU Camp. As comfy as Season 1. This show has comfiness. That's its main strength. There's some world building, that political stuff, kind of okay. Oh, you know, I wrote down a quote for myself. This is the most fascinating discussion of trade disputes since the Phantom Menace. That's the show.
Fair. This arc is my favorite arc of the show yet.
Yeah?
Because it's my biggest problem with the show had always been just that the fights and all the stuff just seemed like kind of out of place. It's like early on the show establishes this idea that like this is about building a country, all these different tribes coming together and growing. And every once in a while they go and fight a big guy, and that makes it so they can like have an extra step of growth. But it just kind of felt like the boss battles were just not like interesting. They weren't like well thought out.
Well, they certainly didn't have much stakes. Since Rimuru, the only time Rimuru's ever had even a little bit of difficulty, and still won, I guess, and needed to win, was against the Orc Lord, where there was like a little bit of resistance, and against Milim.
When they sweep in with all the ogres and just like start nuking the Orc Lord, it really doesn't feel like you're supposed to be worried at all.
We talked about this in Season 1, but it's like the slice of life, everything will be fine element clashes with the feeling of like warfare and like fear, you know?
So I think that this arc was necessary for two reasons. One, that like it's obvious that this is both playing to the strengths of the show, but also setting up for the ability for it to actually have drama later. Because there's actual like stakes and like meaningful circumstances for a drama to play out, I guess.
The conflict basically being that we're experiencing this larger world of like kingdoms each controlled by either powerful kings or demon lords. And like the negotiations with those different kingdoms, people maneuvering, will a war begin as we begin to become a threat? That kind of stuff's interesting, yeah.
Yeah, and this show has it it's very similar to Log Horizon in its both tone, presentation of like this arc is similar to the last arc of season 1 of that show, where you've reached a point that most of the characters that we've heard of are unified. They're all kind of working toward the same purpose, and the power levels are kind of like maxed out. It's like everybody who's relevant is as strong as anyone we've heard of in this world. So at this point, it's not about introduce a new stronger guy. There is no stronger guy. We've met the strongest guys. Like now it's like those strongest guys have to have basically a conflict both of resource management and of eventually probably ideology. And like, so as all that stuff comes to blows, then it'll be like a whole world war, basically. It's like what this is establishing is like a bunch of countries forming alliances, finding reasons to, you know, go to war with each other. So like that seems way more interesting than any of the conflicts we had up to this point, but it remains to be seen how it will actually play out, I guess.
I haven't minded the little stuff we got in season 1, which was 24 episodes, so they had a lot more chance to do more stuff. So when I say season 1, there was more time than we've had so far in here. The way that our characters started off, formed a village, all that was really fun. And now that that's established, I mean, unironically, my favorite stuff was not necessarily the trade issues, because it's funny how they quickly brush over all that stuff. They're like, well, let's literally put this dog man in charge of it. He will handle everything. Our characters will do anything else right now.
I almost forgot about Dog Man. Yeah.
The kobold guy. But when they're actually like meeting delegations from, you know, Lord Carrion's Beast Kingdom, they send a delegation. There's like some conflict. Oh, will things go well? Will we be able to establish like beneficial trade? And will we have to go to war if things go terribly wrong? That stuff is at least interesting. And it's funny, they are back to their old habits of like a fight breaks out between these delegations, and it like, you know, there's no stakes. The point is to like test each other and vie for strength.
I like that they didn't present it as though it was serious at all. Kind of. They were like literally like, because the bad guys show up and they're kind of like, well, what are you guys, pussies? Like, come fight us. And Rimuru's like, well, I mean, just do it. Like, if that's what they want to do, let's fucking fight it out. Why not?
I don't blame the show for doing that, and it's in keeping with the style of, I don't know, low impact conflicts that are for fun, kind of, and not particularly serious. But I'm still kind of waiting for that, like, when do things get serious a little bit.
It was fun to have like the Beast people show up and form like an instant bromance camaraderie over fighting ability. But while having there's something that happens in this arc. There's a side plot of this mage girl who shows up.
Mulan. I love her movie, you know, where they sing like, what do we want? A girl worth fighting for. You know, I love Mulan. Favorite movie.
Mulan shows up, and there's the guy who's like the leader of the guild of, what were they, Assassin's Guild?
They were a band of mercenaries, I think.
The mercenary band that Rimuru has had taking credit for defeating the Orc Lord, so that it would make it not seem like the monsters could do that, because they're trying to like not be too OP publicly. But these guys are going around slaying monsters with a badass sword and telling people they got it from these friendly monsters in this monster kingdom. So it's all like, I love this idea, just like the reputational kind of warfare going on. You know, as Rimuru spreads his reputation throughout. But these guys, one of them stumbles upon this mage girl who like wants to join up, and she's really strong. And he introduces her to the dignitary guy from the Beastman tribe who he had, you know, become friends with because they like fighting.
Yeah.
And he's just like, hey, I bet you can't beat her. And he's like, yeah, I bet I can. And he loses. And so now both of these guys end up falling in love with this girl. And it leads to this arc of, she works for one of these demon lords. She's there to like, you know, cause shit and like disturb everything with this plan. But basically what happens throughout episodes like 4 and 5 is that all these like cliche anime scenarios that would start a war are just subverted by how good of people Rimuru's like people are.
That's true.
Like this girl is about to do her thing, but both of these guys are like, wait, hold on. I love you. Don't go. And she's like, oh, well, I still kind of want to destroy the world. They're like, no, actually, me too, also stopping you. You know, like
it plays into this idea that I'm feeling more now, where it's almost comical how well everything works out friendship-wise for every character. Like, opportunities when they had to go to war, things just work out great. It's bordering on the bad writing side of things where I'm having trouble even enjoying myself because I'm so annoyed that this keeps happening. I'm not actually annoyed because that is what the series is like for. But there's also these political stakes on the other side, and it's the balance of two. This is what I've been saying since the show began. It's like having both those things at once is kind of weird when things work out so well all the time, and we're expected to be afraid things won't go well. I'm not afraid things won't go well.
There has to be contrast, and this show is weirdly not. It never goes hard enough on the dark side of the contrast,
Yeah.
and it started off a little better at that. Like when he first cuts the head off of Ranga's dad in episode 3, kind of a hard ass moment, you know. But like the response of them is like, well, we're beastmen, our tribe just like bows to whoever killed the guy anyway, so like, you know, we're instantly loyal to you. So okay, works out great. But like every scenario is kind of like that, and none of it has ever been as dark as I killed your dad and took you into my kingdom, you know?
I guess killing the Orc Lord, but that's like the same idea anyway. Killing the leader in order so that the followers can like join our happy group together, which is exactly what happens.
And they went like above and beyond to make the Orc Lord's sacrifice as like messianic and okay as possible, you know?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So it really is a feeling of like, in this world, everything just always works out to the best that it could reasonably. And I do think it would get old if it was always like this, but it is really relaxing to just watch like diplomacy work.
That's
you
true.
know?
That's
like,
the biggest strength. It is a very comfy watch.
And I think, I don't know, I guess there's something to be said for it because in the same way as YURU Camp, people watch, what's the Iyashike shows, soothing shows in order to like decompress, because if you don't have time to go camping because you work too much, you can watch the show about camping and at least get some of those vibes for a little bit. It's kind of depressing when you think about it, but if you live in a concrete jungle, you take what you fucking could get, you know? And for me, this is like that for politics and like giving a fuck about the world at all. Because trying to do that in real life is really hard. Like trying to like pay any attention to anything going on.
I mean, for example,
waking nightmare.
This isn't strictly political, but one of the things that happens is, so we are getting a real villain in that, like, this enemy kingdom is like working with the church, who finds this kingdom of monsters to be like heretical, and they ally with this kingdom that's mentioned, the kingdom of humans or whatever. Oh, so the humans are the baddest guys so far. And they send 3 other worlders, 3 other like Rimuru type people, you know, humans with superpowers from like the real world, to go fuck it up. And the way they choose to do it at first is that the girl of the group just says like, oh my God, that goblin like molested me. And through the power of sheer bromance, Gobta's like, my boy would never do that, man. My boy would never do that. Which is honorable, but would that fly in real life? I don't think it would go so rosy for that goblin man.
It's a funny way that the conversation is written to be. Gobta is just that charismatic.
Yeah,
like it's particularly the way that he phrases the things he says that puts everybody at ease. It's almost as if the author is kind of like saying like, hey, if you lived your life with this attitude, you would get these results. Like
these are good characters. We know for a fact they didn't do anything wrong. Right. So they should feel righteous indignation when being, you know, when they're in the right, the guy didn't do anything. Of course, they should feel pride and honor and not back down when faced with any of this shit. And that is the spirit that keeps Rimuru's kingdom. Like, every single member of the kingdom, like, is a great person and is able to, like, morally withstand any assaults by these guys, so far at least.
Yeah, it's kind of like they're all good people because of the fact that they know Rimuru could just demolish them at any moment if they weren't. It's kind of
so
like
you say
Kira.
It's a reign of terror that Rimuru has.
I think he's kind of like Kira from Death Note. In that like it's just straight up he's that strong, nobody wants to fight. And like monsters particularly have that like primal deference to strength, you know. So like that's why they literally like worship him.
You know, it's funny how the Dwarf Kingdom makes a comment when Rimuru. I love that Rimuru is like wearing kingly clothes at times now, even as a slime, looking more noble and more in charge.
Rimuru's fucking the almost like what I've got with my hair going on in the cape is like the coolest fucking outfit I've ever seen.
Rimuru does look great. But when he gives a speech to like the Dwargon Kingdom or whatever it is, he gets critiqued from the King Dwargon or whatever the names are, the country name, where he's like, listen, chief, you were too humble, you were not like proud enough. A king needs to be more inspiring of awe in the people, so I give you a 0. even though they give you the throwaway line from like some random people who are like, no, I actually like that you were humble, Mr. King-sama. That was so great that you did that. Fuck off, man. King's supposed to inspire confidence in the nation and be powerful. So luckily Rimuru still can do that very easily.
It's like my banquet of King's scene from Fate Zero, dog. It's good shit.
Only
Kings should always be talking shit about each other's king leaders. It's the
that's
most
true.
entertaining thing in the world.
King Dwargon ain't got nothing on my boys Alexander or Gilgamesh.
This show to me is like it's like playing a BioWare game and like just making all the Paragon decisions and everything goes well. Like when I play Mass Effect, I always am just being reasonable and diplomatic to people, and like the game is written in such a way that a lot of people are just unreasonable, so that there is conflict. In this world, like unreasonable people are just so easily overwhelmed that they have to be reasonable or die. So I really do think it's a reign of terror in that sense.
Well, you know, it's actually interesting that we meet these like 3 otherworlders from this other kingdom who are really presented as like an alternative of what Rimuru could have been if he wanted to be. They are like explicitly like murderers, like maybe rapists. Like they're not good people who just want good shit for themselves and don't give a fuck about this world explicitly. But Rimuru took the approach of like, I'm gonna like build a nice world here and just do my best to make the world a good place.
These 3 are like teens who seem like they never even considered the kind of stuff that he thought of when he got there.
Because Rimuru's a mature adult, I guess.
Right.
You know?
So like they're all like rebellious, like gothy kind of like obnoxious kids who are like, yeah, we're fucking we're gonna kill the guy who's hiring us and get away, but first we're gonna go fuck up the slime dude because how dare a monster live a good life while our life has been shitty. So yeah, they show up and the girl has a power to make people just like believe whatever accusations she throws, I guess.
What a very interesting and specific power. And we know that the powers that they use in this world are informed by their deeds in real life. So there's probably some history.
Yeah, it seems like her personality, it seems like the type.
Yeah, there's a great clip.
She's very good at acting out her performance of getting touched by that goblin.
There's a great bit from Daily Lives of High School Boys about this evil woman who will, on the train, stand next to, when boys come and stand next to her, she looks and goes, ugh, and then walks away just to make them feel bad. This is the weaponization of that power.
ありがとう、ヨウム。
Yeah, well, what ends up happening with her trying to use that power is that fucking the pink-haired, like,
the princess
Shinto,
of the ogres, whatever.
right? She can just like negate it, and she's like, "Yeah, we don't fuck around with people like you here." Like,
good thing everyone's OP, and they could just. She literally orders everyone to die in the square. She was gonna fucking murder every single person there. Good thing they avoided that completely.
But I like that it sort of suggests to you all these different ways that in another show, like this could have sparked a war or something.
Yeah,
but like, here's how we prevented that, nipped it in the bud, all these different ways, up to, I assume, leading to like a much larger conflict.
Presumably, yeah.
Like, I guess it's just so rare that you would see a show bother to like have, like, to just kind of create ends to tie them immediately just to show like literally how overpowered everybody fucking is. Like,
yeah.
There is no real conflict in these 5 episodes up until possibly Mulan going like Super Saiyan at the end of episode 5.
First of all, so when Mulan, the sleeper agent, like reveals, oh, I'm actually Imagine, I'm working for Clayman, the Devil Man, he's trying to sow, you know, issues, or the Demon King, whatever. Like the 2 guys who like her, especially the one who's obviously winning, the Mulan Bull, Yule, the hero guy. He's just like, I will love you even if you've been lying to me forever. Like, I'm still gonna be with you even though I've known you for like 2 weeks or whatever. I'm gonna dedicate my whole soul to you. Obviously, she's gonna be redeemed. She's kind of been forced to do all this.
I really love that the other guy witnesses this, is not like
he doesn't care.
Swayed. Doesn't give a fuck what that guy's stance. He's like,
I respect that.
Did you just put your hands on my girl, bro? Like,
they're having the anime moment, bro. Your time is over, but Yeah, that was funny. But I mean, so with her help, they set up like barriers around the city. An imminent conflict is clearly about to happen where like there's no magic that can be used there, and the other one's probably a physical barrier. So presumably they're trying to keep Rimuru out. No contact can happen.
You know what it is? This is what I like about it, and why that scene in particular with the two guys chasing the girl like is the perfect encapsulation of it. It's not that like you never see ever in shows like this maybe like a rebellion get quashed, but it would usually be like just some little offshoot thing, like maybe somebody reads off a pamphlet, oh, there was a terrorist strike in cell block 6, but we, defeated it or something like that. But in this show, it's like you really see all these schemes, all these people who think that their anime bullshit is going to work, and then somebody else just kind of grabs them and goes, no. Actually, no, that's not happening because I said so. And it's entertaining to me to see so many people back and forth do that, where again, like, him hugging Mulan and being like, you're not going to do the supernova thing. And the other guy being like, well, don't think that means you're with her. And then her kind of being like, well, I am in love with you, but don't think that means I'm not nuking this anyways. It's
true.
Just...
There is still plenty of anime bullshit. For example, when Rimuru is in the Dwarf Kingdom, he goes to his old beloved elf hostess bar, where he, rubs up against titties, having a great time with the goblin boys, and yet he is the king of the kingdom. He has no consorts or wives or anything. He walks out, and because it's an anime, the girls are so mad that Rimuru would go, not a brothel, a fucking hostess club. He went to a hostess club, you fuckers. Stop moving the fucking trash. So it's a little silly that they're mad at this unattached king because they like him. We're the girls and we want Rimuru-sama's attention and stuff. I don't blame them, but it's very anime and very...
I will say that the one thing about that scene is that I do think it's reasonable that they be mad he didn't bring them with him, because they would have just gone. Why didn't he just bring them to the strip club?
I mean, he didn't want his main bitches around when he's seeing his side hoes. This is the pecking order. You're actually higher on the pecking order, so be proud. He's not bringing these other ones to court or whatever. That being said, I can understand a little bit of jealousy. It's understandable.
Yeah. But he heads on down to the old elf brothel just because I guess we had to see it again. But
I was thinking he should go back there sometime and hang out with
It's just funny that because we went back to Dwargon, it's fun to see all the old characters again. I wish we had seen like another place there. What else is it known for? Especially because the brothel is full of elves.
Where are the fucking elves from? We haven't seen the elf kingdom at all.
I want the elf kingdom. Where are all the other hot elf girls? But yeah, still, it was fun to go back to Dwarf Kingdom, meet the king, kind of be exactly clear on where everybody's at. Literally the first 3 episodes of this season are just checking in on every single fucking character who has been in the show.
Man, you want to talk
realizing how many there are.
Yeah,
I had a moment where they're in carriages going to, I think...
Pause. Okay, it's leaving. You were saying you had a moment where...
There's a moment where they're on their way to Dwargon in the carriages, and Rimuru's like, oh, they're the fucking orc captain and his guys have repaired the road after the Charybdis fucking thing fell and created the crater, and you see the shot of all the orcs laying down tiles, and I was just like, this show's fucking delightful. I love that everybody always has something to do. It really is like how, after they beat Charybdis, there's a scene of everybody just like cooking and using every single part of its body. That's how this show is with its concepts. They introduce something and then they just fucking pick it clean for everything it could be used for from that point forward.
That is the strongest element of the show. Although, Rimuru goes and visits like the kids, the summoner kids, and I gotta say, every one of those scenes, they didn't do much. They weren't long.
Not much.
Flatline.
Nothing
even happened.
Yeah.
We meet like their
literally
new teacher.
Just checking in.
We meet the teacher who's gonna replace Rimuru. Got it. There will be another teacher.
We did not need there to be 2 scenes because there's one. Okay, that actually confused me because it is the start of episode 1 and the start of episode 4, and I thought it was the same. I thought I'd
watch the same episode. Yeah, me too.
I was confused. But yeah, that was there are moments that don't do much. There are moments that are cute or fun or that establish new stuff. But like the main thrust plot introduction is that the human kingdoms are finding an excuse to go to war with them via the church. Because the only real reason that the humans would have a problem with them right now is that the main kingdom that is the head of trade is now being usurped by Rimuru's kingdom because they're establishing better trade routes. They're making friends with the demon lord who loves fighting, and they
due to explicitly political and economic concerns specifically, not like anything else. They're looking for an excuse, and I love that.
And it's also because they lifted the curse on Veldora's forest, so that makes trade easier. So like the kingdom's like, well, yeah, we want to go to war with them, and like we could. The king literally says like, I could justify it, but we only have 17,000 people, and we wouldn't be able to win. But then the church guy gets up and is like, well, the church thinks it could be a holy war, and we've got 20,000 guys. And the king's like, oh, well, fuck. I'll throw my dudes in then. Holy war. I didn't realize God hated monsters, you know? And, like, that's literally, they've all, like, got smiles on their face. And, like, I love the way they drew these characters to look, like, they really, even though they are sleazy and scumbags who are just like saying self-justifications, you can tell that they have taught themselves to buy into their own bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, these are the most cynical actors, I think, who they're just like, yeah, I'm a holy man, I work for the church, I just do political maneuvering under the guise of religious teachings.
It's just the second that they hear him say, like, oh, holy war, they're like, oh, I didn't realize God was in on it.
Well, this is what happens when you have the concept of selective enforcement. When everyone's a sinner, you can pick and choose anyone you want to nail to the cross at any time, so you choose the ones that are politically convenient for you. That's what happens when you give people too much power, folks. Don't let it happen to a place near you.
So we've got their troops are moving in, coming close to the monster kingdom. So massive conflict incoming. And I don't even think this will necessarily be the one that like will be a cool, rich, fleshed out conflict. I feel like we might still be a step away from that if it's coming.
Well, there's
it could just always be comfy. I don't know.
There's the angle of Clayman and, you know, Clayman's people who are not part of the kingdom but are sowing issues and problems.
Yes.
The barriers from Clayman and whatnot, so another demon lord. And then there's also
Clayman has the same voice as Dio Brando, so I'm getting some kind of main bad guy vibes off of him. Possibly,
I wouldn't be surprised. And there's the fact that he's been operating in the shadows for so long, we haven't seen him meet our characters probably. But there's apparently also Milim, like has like declared war on them or something too. Our old buddy Milim.
So that is the pink-haired girl.
Yeah, right? That's right.
Yeah, I was confused about that. Why?
We have no idea. Last we saw her, we were best friends. So I mean, I'm sure they'll go into it.
It's interesting. The ED of this season focuses on just Milim and Shion, and the first half of the season has had a ton of Shion. It really seems like they kind of refocused away from Ranga being like the number 2 comic relief and are like Shion's number 2 comic relief because she can do a little bit more.
And she's like an attractive girl, so they want to put her on screen more probably.
I mean, she's got giant tits and she's fun to have around. But her dynamic does just lead to like a broader range of comedic scenarios than Ranga, who's like just loyal, you know.
That's
like
true.
His thing every time. So I enjoy it. I like having her around as a mainstay fixture, because it's kind of like, because we're just checking in on everybody, if it weren't for there being like one other person than Rimuru, it would literally just be Rimuru walks from place to place and meets people. Like having someone there to react to his meetings with people adds something.
It's funny to reflect that Shion is the secretary of Rimuru, specifically because Rimuru said, she looks like a secretary, so I guess I'll just make her one. Yeah. And that has worked out great. It really shows the level of thought put into the characters in the show. Nonetheless, I mean, the show's enjoyable as a relaxing romp through an isekai kind of world. If you aren't sick of isekais and want to just chill and watch something comfy, this is the show for you.
I just find this show to me is like the platonic ideal of an anime. Like it's, when I think about the kind of anime I grew up with, where it's just like every type of demon creature fantasy thing in a place where there's magic and swords, and like everybody's badass and they all just like are friends. Like, it's like Winnie the Pooh meets every cool anime. Like
I see
in a
what you
weird
mean.
blender. So yeah,
it's, you know, it's not bad. There are things to enjoy, but I must say, I'd rather be watching YURU Camp.
Yeah, well, wouldn't we all?
Coming soon on KHANTENT, some YURU Camp stuff eventually. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. We'll probably talk about more slime isekai when it comes out in a few more episodes. And you should give us money on subscribestar.com/KHANTENT to support such productions in the future. And also go to our Twitter, Discord, talk about things, send us KHANTENT clips, stuff at the end we can play as a clip.
And If it's open by now, then you'll be seeing this clip. We have a P.O. box where you can send us cosplays that we can wear relevant to the episodes that we're talking about. I'd love to cosplay Annie before Titan's over. I'm sure she'll be relevant before the show ends.
That's supremely true.
I will not cosplay Astolfo. Don't send it.
Or anything else. If you feel like it, go for it. Thanks for watching, everybody. Here's an end clip. KHANTEHNT!